You can buy every creator's dream camera now, Canon EOS R5. But even if I hoped for something like the Canon EOS R5 for years, I have moved on and stripped down my tech, making room for creativity instead of production quality. Camera manufacturers and their update processes are a topic on its own, and when they finally update, often the new features are just catching up. My S10 can film 4K, my Canon 70D couldn't for years. Of course, my Galaxy S10 is much newer, meaning 2019, January, but still, I bought an M50. My S10 can film proper slow motion, where my M50 cannot, only 60 frames per second, or not even HD if you up the frames per second. For years, basically, I was reading rumors about what Canon could release. Maybe finally Full HD with 120 frames per second in a 70D, 80D, 90D successor. Never really came. The 90D kind of has better video specs, but I wanted to switch, not to Sony but to mirrorless, which now doesn't mean the same thing anymore. Thank God. But then 2020, the year the camera game kind of changed, because Canon announced and now releases the ultimate all-in-one camera everybody has been thinking about for years, the R5. Then Sony, the new A7S III. And finally, we get proper flip screens. Oh man. That's basically what the main reason for me staying away from Sony. That basically was the main reason staying away from Sony all these years. The flip screen. And now they just did it. The problem, at least for me, the A7S III is not an all-in-one, but much more a video camera. And the question, at least I ask myself, of course, you could have two cameras, one for photo and one for video, but that's twice the cost, that's twice the risk when traveling, that's twice the weight. The ultimate dream of mine, therefore, always was the one camera to rule them all. Small, portable, and capable of everything you could wish for. Wanna make a feature film? No problem. Your cam got you covered. Wanna shoot something for Instagram real quick? Wanna film your kids? Wanna film a professional interview? What if one camera was your all-in-one camera that could just do it all and didn't weigh as much or not cost as much as an Alexa or a Red? And finally, it's kind of here, the R5. Can do it all. Of course, that also has a price tag, and also the new lenses or professional lenses, also including Canon lenses, are freaking expensive too. But at least what I always wanted is now out there. 8K recording, slow-mo, finally a proper flip screen, also on Canon's high-end line. And finally, a proper mirrorless camera, not some M50 or EOS R stuff. That of course also has its market, but just isn't meant to be something truly great. My problem still is this. I followed all this camera tech for years, then my camera broke. The 70D, that after the 60D and before that 3 pocket cams, Fujifilm my first digital camera, then a Nikon that still couldn't shoot video with sound, let alone full HD, my Canon EOS 230HS then finally could. I was blown away, but in 2019 the 70D that I shot thousands of pictures with broke. And that wasn't the first thing like this. I also broke 3 lenses in a very short time frame, dropping them. Of course, gear has to be used, but also you just don't wanna worry sometimes about losing your 1 to 2 grand of camera gear. Wanna not leave the subway and have 2 very suspicious dudes coming towards you, because your DSLR is bouncing off your chest. So I decided to quit, just sell the broken 70D and get the best camera phone on the market, the one camera I would always have with me, one of the first to introduce bokeh in video, which I frequently use, a phone that records 4K and more slow-mo I could have ever gotten at that time from Canon. Now, after months, I also bought a used M50 for $400. Still had my lenses, basically upgraded my 70D to a mirrorless 80D. The M50. But since then, I don't really use my camera that often anymore. It is very often just so much easier to use your phone. Also for video. Very often I find myself thinking that the more professional you try to shoot, the less you really shoot. Professional shoots. Of course, when it comes to professional photos, you still want to have something better than your phone. Maybe something which records 8K, like the Galaxy S20 or S21. Just kidding. Therefore, there is still a need for something real, something like the R5. But for me, the M50 is good enough for now, and in case I ever think about upgrading to something really professional again, I probably will consider that decision twice, because I like just having one device. Just the time it took to organize having a camera with me, charging the batteries, forgetting them, shooting, then realizing no card. There really is something in a very lean process. I can connect my Zoom H6 to my phone now. Just plug in a cable, record podcasts straight into my phone. And these are just two examples. Will something like your phone ever truly replace the need for something better than your phone? Not at all, but chances are the further phone cameras develop, the more diminishing your returns and increased quality from your upgrade get. And we already had movies shot on iPhones on Netflix years ago. There is a revolution coming. People with cinema cameras in their pockets. It is already here. Everything moving to streaming. Now we got COVID and nobody goes to the cinema anymore. Does that mean people won't in the future? No, but the changes have been made. Streaming is now better implanted than ever before. Anyone who can write and crowdfund their own movie. Anyone can write and crowdfund their own movie now, but chances are he won't even have to, since technology got so cheap. Not that phones are now so cheap, but nobody debates these prices. Not many people buy phones just because they want to have a camera. They buy it because they want to have a phone. But let's not get too distracted. The R5 is out, and the R6, and probably before 2100, the red hydrogen phone will be something good. But I don't know, I simply lost my enthusiasm for the endless search for the best camera. Even though I could have it finally. I don't really find myself endlessly watching and reading specs and reviews. It's as if you finally grew up and discovered that the toys you spent your childhood with are just toys. And what matters is not how nice the toy is and was, but if you made something with it. And for me, for now, my S10, even now, is still good enough.